So we're in a good spot right now.
We absolutely are in a good spot, feeling good. And that's what we're all about here, right? We want to get the picks right, but also we know that we're trying to find lines that we think are going to change between now and whenever maybe you're going to make the bet, whether it's a couple of days from now, whether it's not till Sunday just before kickoff. That's what we're looking for here on these episodes every single Monday. So DeWitt and I are going to jump into those week 8 lines. DeWitt, look back to last week. You actually were traveling and not with us, so you still sit at 6-4 on the season. Yet another 1-1 week for me on the plus side. Packers over Washington. On the downside, Browns over Broncos. In my defense, I came off of that pick by the time it was actually going to kick off. They were -4 when I made it. Then they had all the injuries crop up. And so I didn't really want to bet it come Thursday. But the record is the record. 1-1, 6-6 for me on the season. You at 6-4. For what it's worth, our buddy Brandon Funston, who filled in for you last week, went 2-0. Dolphins over Falcons and Giants over Panthers. Both of those ones hitting. Got the Dolphins by half a point. Had the Giants underdogs as outright winners. So nice work by Funston stepping in an emergency role. Let's take a look at week 8, though. That's what we are here to do. We've got 3 favorites between our 4 picks, and plus you've got a total. Let's hear that total first.
I'm going to go under 48.5 on the Dolphins and Bills game. This total opened at 49.5 yesterday. It's already come down. Sometimes I wish we recorded this show on Sunday night because there's a lot more friendly lines. They start moving pretty quickly on Sunday night, like immediately as
Only
the
there
lines
were more hours
out.
in the day, my friend.
Right. So here's my reasoning behind this one. I think the Dolphins have the second worst defense by yardage in the NFL. They have a bottom 10 offense, although I will put an asterisk next to that saying Tua is a little bit better on the offense, like starting to show some things. Yesterday's game was a little bit of a game changer for the Dolphins. But then the Bills have the number 1 defense by yardage in the NFL. And then, the Bills offense is in the top 5. And I don't think they're going to have any problems against that Bills defense. Or the Dolphins defense is going to have issues with the Bills offense all day. Like Josh Allen is going to have a day, start every Bills person you have in your lineup in fantasy football, those type of things. So I just see what's going to happen in my mind, this game is going to be Bills going to rush out to a big lead, 24-0, score pretty easily. And then maybe the Dolphins, add a score before halftime. And then the Bills just kind of like coast through the second half. And that's just kind of why I don't see the Dolphins like putting up a ton of points in garbage time. So even against the Bills, maybe second stringers coming in. So I just see this game going under the total, add in weather potentially in Buffalo, there's all these kinds of things. I think it's just gonna be a really good game, but I think it'll come to the under. So.
Yeah, that's. I would be a tiny bit worried about what we've seen from Tua the last couple of weeks. And we know that the Bills are going to do what they do mostly, right? And so I feel like you could be generally right in the way you diagnose this game, but it still goes over because the Bills win like 30-21, something like that, where they're like in control and the Dolphins are able to just scoop things up in kind of garbagey time as the things go along. And as we've seen, Tua Tagovailoa has brought a level of competency to Miami's offense these last couple of weeks that they certainly didn't have with Jacoby Brissett as the starter, and frankly, that they didn't have early this season when Tua was still starting before he got hurt. So a little bit of a concern there. It's a stay away for me. It has moved in your direction, though, so you got to take some solace in that. 49.5 it opened at, 48.5 here, 12 hours, 14, 16 hours later from when it first opened. So feeling good that it's at least moved down in that direction. That's your first pick for the week, DeWitt. 48.5 under that total for the Bills and the and the Dolphins. I'm going to fast forward ahead to a primetime game for next week. Cowboys are -2 at the Vikings. Cowboys coming off of their bye here in week 8. And this just feels like a little bit of an underrating of the Cowboys yet again, a team that is undefeated against the spread this season. They are 6-0 to go along with their 5-1 actual record. I think there's a little bit of Dak Prescott worries at play in this one. He was in a walking boot last week, but already out of it. Doesn't appear to be in any sort of jeopardy, not only to play in this game against Minnesota, but to play at the Dak Prescott level that we are used to seeing. So I feel very comfortable with that. And just look at these two teams and look at these two offenses and how they size up against each other. Dallas has brought it in every single game they've played this season. Minnesota, when they are going, they are going. They're a good team. They're a team that you do want to be intimidated by on the offensive side of the ball. They can be very efficient. They have playmakers really at every level, and we've seen that from them, in more often than not this season. But it's not quite as consistent as what we get from Dallas. And so the -2 really is just it feels like all we're really trying to do here is find the winner. And I like the Cowboys a lot in this spot. So I think we take advantage of the not having full information on Dak Prescott just yet here early in the week, because if he gets even a limited session on Wednesday, DeWitt, in practice, I think this jumps up to 3 right there. And so I want to grab it now where I can just get a field goal victory and a win for the Cowboys.
Yeah, last night there was like that report briefly that Dak wasn't going to practice today at all because they go back to practice on Monday because they had the bye week. And, the Cowboys didn't say anything about the injury last week. Jerry Jones said something on his radio appearance about, he's a little bit concerned about it, but then he's like Dr. Jerry. So he's just always diagnosing and not even, I don't even know if he really knows what's going on sometimes when he's saying that stuff. But I do have concern about that. And this is one that I was going to bet the other side, but you kind of jumped in on the Cowboys. So we'll make this a friendly bet. We'll make this a friendly bet, and I'll take the Vikings, and we'll make it a friendly bet between us. But I think, this is like one of those situations where I think Dak's going to play through the injury no matter what, because it's probably something that's not going to get significantly worse. But Chris Sims on his show was saying how he had the same injury, and it can be a bad thing when it's your push-off leg when you're throwing and cause underthrows and just kind of cause some really bad discomfort, even if you get medicine before the game and all these things. So I'm just staying away from this. I think the Vikings are a little underrated still just based on their first couple of results. And so I think people are going to jump on the Vikings bandwagon here pretty quickly. But like you said, getting the Cowboys at 2 points, I see nothing wrong with that either, because they're definitely one of the better teams in the NFL.
All right, let's go to one where we do agree. This was one that I consider. We're limiting ourselves to 2 picks. My third pick, if I had one, would be Browns -3 over the Steelers. It is one that you're going with, though, as one of your 2. Why?
The Browns are getting healthier. I think we saw on Thursday Night Football that Case Keenum can definitely run this offense. I think the Steelers' defense is a lot better than the Broncos' defense. I can give you that credit. We saw that on Thursday Night Football. But I think, Big Ben is still an issue with that Steelers offense. The Browns' defense will create turnovers against the Steelers. I just see this just being a really good spot for the Browns. They're coming off their 10-day rest. We talk about on this show a lot the mini bye off of Thursday Night Football. The teams get a little bit of a break. I think it really helps the teams because they get the weekend off. They come into practice on Monday. They're focused. They're ready to get back to work. It doesn't feel like such a drag for the team. So I think I just see the Browns kind of stepping up here and having a really good game. And I think Nick Chubb's going to be back. It looks like he's practicing today. I think he'll be in the lineup this week. I think the Browns are just going to have a day, and they're going to run the ball, keep control of the ball, and make Big Ben make some mistakes, and they're going to win the game that way and cover the spread.
Maybe you get Baker back in this game as well, but I think you're right about it. Case Keenum and Kevin Stefanski have familiarity with one another going back to Minnesota. So this is definitely a guy who you don't want him starting the rest of the season, but if you need him to be the caretaker for 2-3 weeks, you feel totally okay with that. We saw that, as you said, in the game against the Broncos a week ago. And the fact that the Browns had the Thursday night game maybe lessens the impact of the Steelers coming off a bye of their own, because they've had some time to rest, but the Browns have just had a few less days of that. So coming into this one, Browns the better team. -3 feels a little bit like we are leaning on the Browns injuries, driving this one down a little bit. And Chubb's coming back. Odell Beckham should be good, even though he's been sort of an afterthought in the offense. Jarvis Landry, 1 more week removed from his injury. They got J.C. Treader and Jedrick Wills back a week ago. Maybe Jack Conklin can make the return as well. That Browns team getting healthy. Definitely the better team between these two, and 3 feels just a tiny bit light. Wouldn't be surprised to see this up above a field goal by time it kicks off over the weekend. For my final pick of this show, DeWitt, I'm going with the Buccaneers at the Saints -4.5. Here's my whole reason. I'm just going to – the quick spiel is this. There's no way this is lower than 4.5 by Sunday. No way. This is the lowest you're going to see this number. Saints play on Monday Night Football. What if it's a surprise? They're 4.5-point favorites or 5.5-point favorites, depending on where you look this week or Monday night against Seattle. What if it's a close game? What if they win, but they win by 3? What if they lose outright? This quickly is jumping up to 5, 5.5, 6. If it's a close game, even if the Seahawks just beat that spread, this is going to be a much higher number, I think, on the Buccaneers. Now is the time before the Saints play the Seahawks on Monday night. Is, I think, maybe the only time you're going to get it at 4.5. And even if that doesn't come out that way, it's not going to go down to 4. This is going to be as low as you get the Buccaneers this week. And so that's why I want to jump on it right now. I don't think I need to go into too much detail as to why the Buccaneers are the better team overall.
Yeah, and a couple of weeks ago, the last time I was on the show, we talked about how we love betting these teams that are on Monday Night Football. because there's so many unknowns. There's definitely been more injuries than people getting healthy for the most part. And, I'll just say this, the Bucs look like the most complete football team. The defense gets stops immediately. Tom Brady gets the ball. He scores. Leonard Fournette looked awesome. Can't believe I'm saying that. I stopped, believing in Leonard Fournette on my fantasy teams years ago. And so I will say there was one caveat. These Buccaneers at Saints games are almost always the weirdest results of the year for some reason. A couple years ago, the Bucs blew them out in the opening week. It's just a weird game for whatever reason.
2 of the Bucs losses, the Saints swept them last year.
Right. So, there's some weird results in this game just going back in history of this divisional rivalry. I think that's probably why this spread's a little bit lower, but I think the Buccaneers is the right side to be on today. Let's see what happens tonight and then later in the week with the line movement. And that's something, like you talked about earlier with Thursday Night Football, I would have bet it back the other way if I had already made that bet once the injuries came out. So it's a good game to bet today, but not later in the week.
Yeah, that's exactly where we're standing on Bucs and Saints. That's our 4 picks for this. Bills, Dolphins under 48.5. Cowboys -2 at Vikings. Browns -3 against the Steelers. And then Bucs -4.5 against the Saints. Andrew DeWitt, we're going to say goodbye to you for the first time ever because we got something new coming up on this Monday episode. Good luck, my man. Have a good rest of your day.
All right. Have a good week.
All right. Obviously, if you're here with us on Best on the Board, you think that sports is just a little bit more fun with some skin in the game. Our partners at BetMGM can help you get that skin in, and they can help you get a little bit more at The Athletic. Right now, you can bet $10 to win $200, plus get a free 3-month subscription to The Athletic. Just go to betmgm.com/TABest. Use the promo code TABest to get this offer from the king of sportsbooks. Again, it's bet 10 to win 200 plus 3 free months at The Athletic. And you get those 3 free months whether or not you are already a subscriber to The Athletic. If you are a subscriber, we're just going to tack those 3 months on to the end of what your subscription is right now. Bet 10 to win 200. Get those 3 months at The Athletic. Go to betmgm.com/TABest. Use the promo code TABest. New customer offer for BetMGM customers. Terms and conditions apply. All right, NBA season got off to a start last week, so it's time to bring the NBA on to Best on the Board. And to do that, we bring on Tass Melas from No Dunks. Tass is going to be with us most every Monday here, the remainder of the NBA season. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Thanks for having me, Michael. I'm excited. The NBA is here, and I'm ready to put some skin in the game.
Yeah, let's do it, man. This is fun. We've been just NFL and college football mostly on Best on the Board since we got things started a couple of months ago. So trying to open up the portfolio and bring in as many sports as we possibly can. So very happy to have you talking NBA with us. Let's get started here, man. You got 2 picks for us today. What's the first one you want to throw out?
Well, maybe I shouldn't be making this pick while I'm wearing this shirt. I'm wearing a Raptors shirt. I'm taking the Raptors plus 1.5 at home to the Bulls, mainly because I don't think the Bulls are going 82-0. Is that the kind of insight you had me on for here, Michael?
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the thing with the Bulls and a lot of NBA teams is that to start the season, teams get out to great starts. It's just hard to just run the board at the beginning of the year, and I think they come back to earth a little bit. The Bulls are 3-0, one of 3 teams to start that are currently 3-0 in the NBA. Now I can get to the bad teams that they've beaten so far that no one's expected in the playoffs. I just think 4 straight out of the gate is tough. So Detroit, they've beaten twice. They should be at the bottom of the Eastern Conference the entire year, and they've beaten Zion Williamson-less New Orleans Pelicans squad. So the Raptors, I like them in this spot because they have not won a home game quite yet. They're 0-2, so I think they're due there, and they played a decent game against the Mavericks at home on Saturday, but looked a little gassed after halftime, being that it was a back-to-back. Despite the flashy highlights, I think the Bulls' offense has not been all that good. They're ranked 19th at this point. Toronto's D is decent. They should be able to slow them down. It should be a grinded-out type game. The Bulls, again, have played some anemic offenses with the Zionless Pelicans and the Detroit Pistons, who don't have Cade Cunningham right now. So I think they got a good matchup for Zach LaVine with OG Anunoby. As Zach goes, so do the Bulls, although they won despite Zach having a bad game in his last game, because DeMar DeRozan, the former Toronto Raptor, played pretty well, and he plays pretty well historically against the Raps. Puts up some good numbers. I think it's like 22, 8, and 6. Very good numbers. But going back to Toronto, where they're desperate, it's just hard to start the season 4-0. I think as basketball analyst, as I do every day, it's easy to jump on board and say, well, this team is really, really good. But as a bettor, I think the play is to go out the opposite way and to go with the Raps team.
I love that you're bringing the heat right here. Our first time together. You've got the Raptors shirt on. You can see over my shoulder here. That's a little Cubs logo back there. So maybe no surprise as to the basketball team I cheer for also. So love going head to head there, right? But I would tend to lean in your direction too. And from just the pure betting standpoint here, just the fact that this started out at 2.5, it's already come down to 1.5. The Bulls off to the hot start, as you mentioned, and it feels like we're trying to be almost trapped into betting on the Bulls here. Just 1.5 point favorites. The highlights that they've been putting up, big individual. Levine's had a big individual game. DeMar DeRozan's had a big individual game. Lonzo Ball had a big individual game. So you've seen so many different guys on the Bulls step up and be the guy in a given night. Everything there would tell you that they're maybe, quote, the better team as of right now. The fact that the spread is so short makes me think if I am going to play it, I would be leaning toward the Raptors, but I'm going to be staying away from this one and just letting my heart live later tonight.
Yeah, jump on the bandwagon, Michael. Come on over to the Toronto side. No, you bring up good points. The fact that the line has moved, it feels very much like a trap game. And yes, everybody excited with the Bulls moves this offseason. Understandably so, but that seems to be what's snowballing here. It seems to be affecting the lines. So I do like the Raps, even though they haven't been overwhelmingly good, but they're better than their 1-2 record shows.
All right, so as we do on our football shows, we're bringing spreads into this, we're bringing totals into this, we're bringing props into this, and we didn't do this on purpose, but we end up having one of each of those for you in this episode of Best on the Board. So I'm going to throw a prop out there for my one NBA play of the night, and it is Monty Morris over 16.5 points and assists tonight. Denver taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And yeah, I'm a little bit concerned, Tass, about the fact that Morris hasn't really been dishing out a ton of assists to start the season, just 4 assists in his 2 games thus far. But what I do like about this is that he's letting it fly. 6 3-point attempts in the first game of the season, 5 in the second game of the season. He's connected on 4 of those 11 attempts. And so you look at the fact that he is scoring it a little bit. 9 points in the first game, 13 points in Denver's second game. So he's bringing that. And then you look at, if you break these down individually on BetMGM, his points prop, is sitting at 12.5, and that's -110. So even on either side. His assist prop, however, 3.5. The over is -155. A huge, huge favorite. And so to me, that seems to suggest that odds makers are expecting him to get a little bit more active, dishing the ball out tonight against Cleveland. It's a game that we should expect Denver to be in control of. 10-point favorites in this one. Plenty of scoring opportunities for this team. We know that Nikola Jokic is going to take some of those assist opportunities off the board that wouldn't typically happen for other point guards. But I like Monte Morris a lot to go over this number, and I think he does a little more of the heavy lifting, passing the ball than scoring it. But I like this better than either of those individual props. Give me the combined number. Let's go over that, and I think that's something we're going to be looking at later tonight.
I have been a vehement watcher of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So Monte Morris going up against this Cleveland Cavaliers backcourt that generally starts Darius Garland and Colin Sexton, who tend to give up some points. Now, Ricky Rubio comes in there and does a good job defensively. But I've watched some guys go off against this Cavs backcourt. Trae Young didn't on Saturday night, just because I think Trae had an off night. Now, he went for 24 points, but I believe he was 8 of 24 shooting. So he slowed down, not necessarily by the Cavs defense, but more by himself, on his own accord, really. It just wasn't a Trae Young game. So I do like this Monte Morris pick. I kind of lean towards the number being over, basically because of the points, really, because as you said, Nikola Jokic is going to get all the assists. It's going to go through him. But I could see Monte Morris dropping a 20 spot simply with the points. And I think that, the assist is just sort of an added bonus. But that's a good call by you. I'm glad we're giving the people the variance with the props. And I'll be looking forward to looking at the props this year as well.
Yeah, all right. Well, one more pick to make then. You had a side, I got a prop. Give us a total that you like for Monday night.
Well, Celtics Hornets is 224, and it just seems very low. The Celtics have given up 138 in a 2 OT loss versus the Knicks, 115 to Toronto, which isn't the best offense in the league, and only 97 to Houston, which is a pretty lousy offense. Charlotte has given up 122, 112, and 95, both coming off a back-to-back. I expect the legs to be a little slow defensively, And you may say, then what about the shooting? Will the legs be there for the offense? Well, I think a couple things are in the over's favor because LaMelo Ball runs the show with the Charlotte Hornets. His legs should be fresh enough. He didn't play in the fourth quarter in a win against the Brooklyn Nets on Sunday. Didn't need him, so he should be fresh enough going down the stretch. And if there's holes in the Celtics defense, which they provide, he should be able to forge into those holes. And Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics also didn't play on Sunday. He was a little banged up. He should be back Monday. They are hoping he comes back. So I don't trust either of these defenses to slow the other one down. 224 seems low for me. I don't know if I'm getting trapped here, but if you watch these two teams, they tend to give up points. So the Hornets, again, love giving up points. So do the Celtics. I see a 224 as an easy over. And as I say that, I feel like I am making a dumb play, but I don't know what you think about that one, Michael.
Courting the wrath of the fantasy or the gambling gods anytime that you say something's going to be easy. That
right.
Always feels a little bit like you're asking for it. Hey, this should be one of the more fun games on the slate later tonight. It's actually got the shortest spread. Talked about that 1.5 point spread between the Raptors and the Bulls. Well, this one is just a 1 point spread with the Hornets favored at home. So should be a little bit of a bonus there too. Maybe a fun close game. And hey, as I'm looking right now on BetMGM, it's just come down to 223.5. So 224 is going to win that for. Does that scare you a little bit? The fact that it's come down half a point?
Super scary.
Oh man, well, that's how fast things can change here. That's why we try to jump on them nice and early in the day for you. And we'll be, as I said, doing this all season long now, hitting the NBA every Monday on Best on the Board. That's going to do it for this episode. For Tess Melas and Andrew DeWitt, I am Michael Beller. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck tonight. And as always, happy betting.